Let's skip all the bullshit between and let's just say, okay, I'm wrong. This isn't right. Let's figure out how to make it right. So it feels like every time we open the news lately, there's something else to process. Assassinations shaking political stability, school shootings, and unprompted violence, interest rates climbing, the cost of living pushing families closer to the edge, constant political turmoil creating polarizing divides. This all can feel pretty overwhelming, and for people like us who are trying to run businesses, lead teams, and be present for our families, the weight of all of this can seep into our daily lives. But here's the thing. While we can't control the chaos of the world, we can control how we respond to it. That's what we want to dig into today. How do you maintain positivity and motivation when the world feels like it's stacked against you? Hopefully, this conversation will provide you with some insight and perspective as to how we wake up every day, push forward, and maintain the energy and motivation needed to be the best version of ourselves, both personally and professionally. This podcast is brought to you by Andersen. So what do you actually know about the windows and doors you're putting in homes? We know our experiences with them, right? We know the spec sheet. We know what the sales reps tell us. But how well do we know how they're made? We got a first-hand look at how Andersen makes the 100 series windows in Arizona, and let me tell you, this is the real deal. The material, the design, the technology, the insane precision that goes into every single window. And I'll be the first to tell you, we've been to their Minnesota plant, and we've been to their Arizona plant. The Arizona plant is a brand new building, state of the art, super high tech. And they've fitted out that building with the ability to continue to progress, which is really cool. Their entire system and process has backups and checks to ensure everything's done the right way. With their system, you can see how they're able to offer such high quality product at such a compelling price point. But seeing is believing, so watch our whole Andersen 100 series facility tour at andersenwindows.com.
This podcast is also brought to you by Buildertrend. Does invoice slow you down more than it should? Whether you're running fixed price jobs or open book, creating invoices used to be, well, let's call it the necessary evil. But Buildertrend just made it way easier. Less clicking around, less manual entry, no more double work, and you get paid faster. And with their improved online payments experience, your clients can pay you securely right there in the platform. Fewer delays, fewer headaches. If getting paid quicker and with less hassle sounds good, go schedule a demo at buildertrend.com/MC demo.
And if you guys didn't listen to last week's podcast with Michael and Danielle from Clark and Aldine, they are a Buildertrend user, and we had a really nice conversation and interview with them, so make sure you check that out. This podcast is brought to you by Harnish. Workwear hasn't kept up with the times until now. Harnish Workwear is bringing high-performance design and innovation to the job site with gear that's built to move, breathe, and last. No bulk, no gimmicks, just sharp, functional apparel that's made for top-tier performers who expect excellence and have a devotion to mastering their craft. I've been wearing their hoodies, pants, and tees, and every detail feels intentional. Smart pocket placement, stretch where it matters, and fabric that performs in any weather. Check out Harnish Workwear at harnishworkwear.com and be part of the limitless growth and elevated purpose. If you guys have questions about Harnish, or you hop on their website and you're just uncertain of something, reach out to us, hello@moderncraftsman.co. We can put you in touch with the people over there. I'm sure that Alex would be more than willing to help you, walk you through whether it's sizing, durability, what's different between their product and something else. They're really driven to make the best product, not the least expensive product, but the best product that they can. And maybe hopping on a phone call or exchanging emails with Alex can help answer some of the questions, concerns that you might have if you're looking to switch brands. So reach out to us, hello@moderncraftsman.co, and we can put you in touch with Alex over there.
I'm just going to add to this because all of our shirts, the t-shirts we wear for NS Builders, Modern Craftsman, material, like they are all made by Harnish, and we've been wearing their shirts forever. So super easy way to get involved with those guys is their H label program. And as Tyler said, like Alex runs the department for all new clients and can help you set up new t-shirts. So if you just at the base level need shirts for your guys, he basically turns around a design, I think same day, but can get you really high quality t-shirts. Beyond that is obviously their Creator One pants, which it's getting cooler here in Boston. I will literally have those on every single day. And Kyle from Harnish, him and I were chatting offline, and we were joking. My kids are playing hockey now 7 days a week as of today. And we were talking about how great the pants are for the hockey rink because, it's just freezing cold in the rink, and I'm just sitting there, and my legs aren't freezing when I'm watching my kid play hockey for 45 hours a week. But they're just what I love about them is that they're modern fit, and they're not for everyone in terms of like not everyone likes the modern fit, but I know a lot of you guys that are listening to this podcast do. So as Tyler said, either reach out to us or reach out to them directly. Get in with the H label program. And certainly give the Creator One pants a try because, like I said, I know I'll be wearing them all winter. It's a deep topic, man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into the political aspects of what's going on. At the end of the day, it's like you're a nice person, regardless of your skin color, who you voted for, what your beliefs are, or you can be an asshole. And that's typically how I judge people and what's going on in the world. So I have no need to get into politics and the divide and the separation of what's going on right now. I just think it makes it really hard every day to wake up and to feel good about life and the world that we're raising our kids in, the world that we're operating businesses, just to maintain motivation and mindset can be really difficult with all that's going on. And it's not just political, right? It's the cost of living, interest rates, projects, stress. My kids play sports nowadays, and every sport is year round. There's just a lot going on. And I think at times it can become a struggle just to get up every day and be the best version of yourself, not only for you, but for your family, for your team. And I think that maybe digging into some of those strategies that we use to maintain positivity and maintain motivation might be helpful for people.
I mean, how are you personally staying positive?
Sadly, one, I try not to follow too deeply as to what's going on just in the world. I try. Life is really chaotic and life is really difficult in general. So I try to focus on the things I can control, what's within my control, what's out of my control. Don't dwell and really focus on what's outside of my control. Focus on the things that impact me and my family, and always have something to look forward to in life, whether it is a weekend with the family, whether it is going out for a run. And just for me, so much of it is mindset, right? I have the type of mind that gets stuck on something, and then I know I've said it before, but I call it mental masturbation, where I'm just ruminating on something. So I really have to be intentional about what I'm spending my time and focusing on. So for me, it's like try and focus on the good things, try and help other people, try not to dwell on the bad, because I have difficulty once I'm ruminating on the bad, pulling myself outside of that.
Yeah.
And then it snowballs, and then it's this, and then it's that, and then it's the future, and it's saving, and our kids are going to be in college soon, and do we have enough money? And it can spiral pretty quickly. So for me, exercise, getting outside, just really focusing on the positive aspects of my life, always having something to look forward to. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you use the word spiraling, but like it's the same thing when I think about momentum, where, I was talking about this in a positive sense the other day on LinkedIn, and I was just talking about how when there's momentum behind something, when you're selling and things are good, and you're selling job after job, like you build momentum, and it's just like it becomes easier. And it's the same thing when you kind of go down this negative rabbit hole of reading the news, like being involved, watching social media just completely hammer you with the same terrible shit over and over and over. It's like next thing you know, it's like you're thinking about if you'll have the money to pay your mortgage, or if your kids are going to hate you because you don't show up to their game. Like you just, like you said, you spiral into this negative mindset. And for me, it's always like I'm constantly removing myself from a situation and trying to think big picture. And oftentimes, like the unfortunate part of that is oftentimes it's I'm always thinking about the future of like, oh, I just need to get to this point and then we'll be good. And I've I've been very like self-aware of that mindset since I was young. Like I remember, like you'd be like, once I have my license, my life's gonna be great. But I remember like thinking that and being like, I shouldn't be wishing my life away to the next milestone. Like, how do I wake up and just thoroughly enjoy what's going on in the very moment? And I think that like I slip in and out of that where it's like oh like right now I just need my house done. Like
Did you? You probably didn't, but I did a podcast on something similar, and it was a blend between the arrival fallacy, which is like the belief that reaching a goal will bring happiness,
right.
and something else that's called hedonic adaptation, where as certain people, as you reach those goals and you have this dopamine rush, it wears off and you become numb to it, and what brought you happiness or what you thought was going to bring you happiness is very short-lived, and you're just constantly moving that goalpost.
Yeah. I did not listen to that, and those are larger words than I'm using to describe a similar feeling.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I heard a podcast where somebody was talking about it, and it was both things, and I was like, wow, that's my life.
Yeah.
Like the arrival fallacy, it's always once I get this, once I reach this point, once I hit this, it's going to change. I'm going to be happy, and then it happens, and yeah, maybe it brings short-term happiness, but then the hedonic adaptation kicks in, and it's like then I'm on to the next thing. Like, all right, so you won this, you took second place, took first, whatever it is, and then I'm like, well, now that's not good enough.
Right.
It's gotta, like, I have to broaden my reach, get bigger, get better. So for me, that's never. I can trick myself into thinking that that's going to help, but then my mindset, I'm like, as soon as I get there, it's the next thing.
Yeah, but to relate this back to the original question, like how do I personally stay positive?
Yeah,
I think it is like understanding myself individually, my family, my business. Like it's just such a small portion into such a larger world, and obviously media in general has just been like basically allows this hyper focus approach of delivering just content to you in a repeatable fashion, where it's like you can change the course. Like it can literally change the course of someone's entire life by just hearing the wrong information.
Do you find it difficult once you start spiraling down that negative path to hop off of that train?
No, I don't. No, not personally. I think when I become aware that I'm getting fed, like I'm spiraling into that. I'll relate it to when I used to work on cars. Used to have a shop. It was one of my favorite things to do. I just go in the shop after work, and I would just wrench on cars for hours, and like no sense of time. But when I was working on something, if something went wrong, like I remember I was welding up this panel on the side of a truck I was building, and everything's going great, and I'm like blending out the weld, and I blow through the sheet metal, and I am livid. Like I'm hours into this thing, and I just destroyed my work, and like for a long time, I would sit there and try to fix it. And you know what happens is like you just make it worse and worse. So I had this rule when something like that would happen, or like I'd snap a bolt, I would just stop.
It's the best.
I would stop. I wouldn't even clean up. I would just put the tools down, shut my music off, and leave. And so fast forward, like when I feel as though I'm slipping into this bad mindset, I think I become very aware of that, and I'm like, nope, stop. Like if it's social media, it's like, go put the phone away, go put the phone upstairs, put it on the charger, be with the kids, like
Yeah.
watch whatever, like the K-pop Demon Hunters for the 17th time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or if it's at work and it's like, you know, we're over budget or something's happening or like we're not making as much progress, it's like, all right, I can't sit here and try to fix it, because there's part of it where that's just the reality of where this particular thing is. And dwelling over it or trying to massage it into a different, trajectory is just going to be this, like, mind fuck.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you need to go and reset. And I think for me, sleep is a huge reset. I think it is for a lot of people, but for me in particular, like I think about sleep often as a reset, where especially if I'm having a terrible day, and it's like I don't really talk about that a lot. Like I don't sit down and like spill all my guts about like how terrible my day is. I would prefer to just go, sit down and just go to sleep.
Yeah. I can find myself when something bad happens, like you said with the car analogy. I can find that when I get that frustrated or stressed, everything else that's stressing in my life comes
Mm-hmm.
into play and I begin to project, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
could be stressed about one thing and then I get home and something that my kids have been doing that is a minor nuisance will then be blown way out of proportion because I have everything. So I have to make sure that I nip that in the bud, not in the butt, as quickly as possible, um, just to make sure that I don't spiral, because I can very easily feed into that. Like my personality type will feed into that, and I almost I'm aware that it's happening, and Tilly's like this too. And you could make a choice to snap out of that, but at times it's so difficult where it's like I just want to friggin' stew in my shit right now, and it's not healthy. It's obviously not good for anyone. So I definitely I have to make that hard stop, draw that hard line in the sand to make sure that I move ahead. Do you think that you find you're more resilient when it comes to positivity and making a change and dealing with the negative aspects of life and business now versus 5-10 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just, I talk about this a lot, but I think it's just the constant realization, like, on one hand, none of this really matters.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. We live in this world. We have so many years on this planet. At the end of the day, it's like, I think it was Hermosi that said it, like you push your chips back on the table and someone else plays with them.
Yep.
And so that is something I think about a lot, but it's balanced with, well, while I am here, I want to live like the most fulfilling life possible. But I think that also leads into like my risk tolerance, where it's, when I take big risks, people are like, I don't understand how you're even considering doing that. It's like, because at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that can happen? And I challenge it and challenge it and challenge it. It's like, sure, that sucks. Like, sure, like I get up, I'm out of business. I lose my house. My wife's upset because we lost the house. Like, yeah, all that stuff sucks. But like, what really sucks is just never doing what you want to do. So I think that I've had that mindset a lot, and I think, it's just, that's what's really encouraged me to push through very difficult times. Whether it's socially, whether it's politically, whether it's business wise, personal wise, relationship wise. I think it's just that constant, kind of festering thought that, again, you gotta live your life and do the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
And when the negative mindset creeps in, it's like, you gotta just check that.
Yeah.
I was chatting with a friend yesterday, and going back to cars, he was actually a friend of mine in like the car group that I was part of, and both of us were very into it. And we just our lives got busy. I ended up having kids and starting a business, and I just my truck, which was my project at the time, just completely went by the wayside. And I've missed it because it was something I really enjoyed doing, primarily wrenching on it and working on it and building it. And then, of course, driving it and like the adrenaline behind a fast vehicle, all that stuff. And I sent him a message yesterday. I'm like, hey, I need your opinion on something. And I went and wrote this like essay on what I should do. Should I keep building the truck? Should I buy and I listed a bunch of cars. I was like, should I consider buying this car, or should I get, I said something about the the Escalade V, which is the performance model. I'm like, should I just do that? Cause then I can have a fast SUV, but then I can bring the kids around. And I was just going down through this list. And he goes, and he works for a robotics company. He goes, I'm heading into a robotics meeting. I will text you later. and then I get
what's wrong with this guy?
And then he texts me. He goes, hey, really long response incoming. And he sent me this really long response. And ultimately, we were chatting about how like this just isn't a priority for either of us. And what did I say to him? Because I was like, no, I get the fact that it's not a priority, but I was like, but we're pushing 40 years old. What did I write?
So while you're looking for that, one of the questions I had, which I'll dig into for myself real quickly here, is what positivity means for me without just the buzzword aspect of it. And to me, it relates more so to just looking and finding the good in things and trying to maintain that mindset and that outlook, because I think in today's day and age, so many people feed and fester on the negative aspects of things, and that's what drives media, that's what drives everyday life. And for me, it's just whatever experience I'm having, just trying to find the good in that. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be happy and I'm going to be walking around on cloud nine, but I have to make a conscious effort to try and look and see at the positivity in things. All right, let's hear your text.
Well, hold on, because I want to respond to that, because I would disagree. Part of that I would disagree with is not everything has good in it. And I think that you want to find the good in things, but also, or at least for me, like understand that not everything's going to have good.
Sure.
And that's okay.
It is, but I completely agree with that, and that you're not going to be happy all the time, and not everything is done with good intent. But for me, it's in the situation where I just feel like I'm completely overwhelmed and I don't have time to do what I have to do, and I'm beginning to get stressed out. I can look at all of the positives and
I think it's
and the opportunities that I have, rather than being frustrated that all of this stuff's going on. Like, it's just so easy for me to fall into, this is all a nuisance for me, rather than being like, there's a lot of people who would die to be in this position and have these opportunities, and I'm just losing sight of that. I'm not in touch with that right now.
And I think, let me just zoom out a bit. When I say that, I mean like the micro situation. But I think what you're saying is, hey, this really shitty thing happened, but let's look at the good. I have a really great family. Like, it's not when you look at, all right, this client sued me. Okay, well, what's the good part of getting sued? It's not that. It's like, no, I have good stuff over here.
Yeah, and so somebody suggested the Makers podcast, and I've been listening to a handful of them, and almost every ultra successful person has had a life experience where they've come to a crossroads and they could say that this is at the time, it's the worst thing that's ever happened to them, but it is the catalyst for everything that made them successful. So they should have had the foresight and the wherewithal to understand, this sucks, but this is going to open every door that I've ever wanted in my entire life. And I think for me, sometimes it's easy with stress and anxiety to just ruminate and spiral and start projecting what is going to come of this, rather than just looking at the bright side. Hey, there's going to be more opportunity here. It's definitely big picture. But yeah, there's shit that just sucks, and
Yeah.
there's aspects of your life that isn't great, and you're not going to be happy all the time, and there's things that you just can't rationalize and wrap your head around, and it's as simple as just moving on from that and not
Mhm.
dwelling on that.
Did you ever read the book The Hard Thing About Hard Things?
No.
I'm gonna ship it to you. It's so good. Ben Horowitz. I'm reading it for the second time. I've listened to it once. Um, Part of it, what I love is every chapter he opens up with like some random like rap lyric.
Yeah.
But it's just he talks about like the brutal difficulties he went through in business and to the tunes of billions of dollars and being up and being way the fuck down and being through terrible situations and how they literally like just kept moving. And it's a really good book. All right, so I'm going back and forth with my buddy, and I said, dude, I just genuinely miss the car scene, like that community, like everything about it, working on the cars. And he goes, I do too, but life just keeps getting more and more expensive, and my personal desires go by the wayside. And I said, on the surface, I totally understand that, but when you dig deeper, we can't keep going on living our life without some of the enjoyable things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that, where it's like my personal things, just continue to get put by the wayside because of other things, because life is expensive, because I need to raise my kids, because I need to renovate the house, because I need to do that. It just, next thing you know, it's like you shed everything.
Yep. I just had that same conversation with somebody about buying a new dirt bike, and I could say, not me, he could save a few $1,000s by buying a used one. It's like I just feel like it's selfish of me, and I think that societally, and this that we've been made to feel guilty if we are selfish or appear to be selfish by doing something for ourselves as men, right? We're supposed to give everything to everyone else, and we're not supposed to have the hobbies and the enjoyment, and we're supposed to provide for our family. And this is not my beliefs. This is just the
Sure.
way that things have been over the past 50 years, and it's changed. Obviously, the other relation that I feel is similar is how mothers are meant to feel guilty if they do not want to be stay-at-home moms and they want to chase a career,
Hmm.
because as a mom, in past years, in past decades and generations, you are meant to stay home and raise your kids, and that was your job. And I think that societally we've created this image that if you want to pursue a career and you want to be successful and you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, that you should feel guilty for missing out on all those things. And I think that's very similar. There's nothing wrong with being a professional mother and wanting to chase a career and not wanting to stay home and raise your kids, not wanting to spend every waking hour with your kids. There's nothing wrong with that. We've just portrayed this image that that's what you're supposed to do as a mom. And it's the same thing for dads, right? That you're not supposed to go out and go golfing on a weekend because you're not with your family, or you're not supposed to miss this athletic event because that's where there's nothing wrong with missing those things. If you're doing if you're missing it for good reasons and it's healthy outlets for you, you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel selfish about that. That's just a basic right as a father, as a mother. You have to do what you have to do to make yourself feel happy and healthy. And it doesn't have to align with everything that you see here of what everyone else is doing. Like, if you
Hmm.
don't want to stay home and raise your kids and your biggest priority is chasing your career, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still be a present mother. You can still be the best mother. You don't have to fit this like quintessential idealistic view of what books and TV and social media portrays as a mother. And it's the same thing as a father. Like, you don't have to feel guilty or selfish that you want to go spend money on yourself because it's something that just makes you happy.
Hmm.
And I think that's a fundamental flaw within society right now, that we're meant to feel guilty about a lot of things that we're doing for ourselves, when at the end of the day, those things can make us the best mother, the best father, the best businessman or woman that we potentially could be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to that conversation we had before about like the work-life balance. There is no balance.
Nope.
When you're great at one thing, the other thing suffers. And I, I think I shared this on LinkedIn again the other day, but like you go through seasons. There's going to be seasons where I'm going to be hyper focused on my business, and I'm probably going to be a subpar father and husband. And then there's going to be different seasons in my life where I'm going to be a great husband and a great father, and maybe a subpar business person. Like it just ultimately, like there's always, you know, there's always one that is sacrificed
Yeah,
for
and
the
then
other.
in an idealistic world, you're going to plan and account for all that stuff, but it just doesn't work that way. There's
Right.
times where a job burns you out and you're going to focus on something else. And there's a
Mhm.
time where family and social life burns you out and you're going to focus on business. That like
Yeah.
it's you can't it's not necessarily that you're going to write down this plan and follow that to a T.
Mhm.
Um, do you think that positivity can coexist with frustration, anger, or doubt, like what we were speaking about before? When you're going through these things and life doesn't seem to be fair and life doesn't seem to be easy, do you think that you can maintain positivity while going through those emotions of frustration, anger, and doubt?
I think you can. It's kind of the idea where it's at least I have dot dot dot. It's like when you're angry or mad about something, it's like, yeah, but at least I have, or at least
Hmm.
I can, or at least I did, or where there is the balance. I think ultimately it just comes down to where are you putting your focus? And we all know how negative emotion is just far stronger of an influence on us.
Yeah,
You read one bad Google review, like the hundred other ones almost mean nothing.
yeah. I mean, it
And
it has to coexist, right? Because if all you experienced were frustration, anger, or doubt, which there's days that it seems like that, that would just be your normal,
mhm.
and they wouldn't be a negative aspect of your life. So to me, you can't have one without the other. Um, it's just where you want to put your focus, and I mean, it's not something that I do well, and I joke about it. But the time where we went and walked one of your job sites, and there was a major issue, and you just stopped and started eating dinner, and I was like, I can't imagine eating right now. Like I'd be sick to my stomach. But it's a testament to understanding that, yeah, you have to see the positive aspects of things. There's lessons to be learned. You're giving people opportunity to step up and make things right, to problem solve, to move ahead. You're in a position to be doing this in the first place, and you have to balance that with the issues that you are dealing with, and not just ignoring the problems, which leads me to another question, which I think this is something I started this podcast with this, but how do you distinguish between toxic positivity, which is just ignoring problems, right? Just looking at the bright side of everything, and genuine resilience? And that's something that, sometimes it's easier for me to say out of sight, out of mind, and just turn the news off or not go on my phone. But how do you actually build resistance without just not paying any attention to the negative aspects of life?
Well, I think it's honestly, I think if you are going through this world alone, no relationships, no people that relied on you, no like you could live in this toxic positive, ignoring all the problems and just charging forward. You make a
I
mess
think
behind.
you would need drugs.
You make a mess behind you. Like it's literally just plowing through and ignoring everything that happens. I think what balances that is it is the negative emotion that comes from the people that are closest to you, where it's like you're just like all positive mindset, and then someone might bring you back down to earth, or pull the rug out from under you, and be like, yo, like you're making a fucking mess over here, dude.
Hmm.
And reminding you like you can't just live in this la la land. So I think that honestly, I do think by having like relationships with people, like that's ultimately what balances this, ignoring all the problems versus genuine resilience.
Yeah, that's well put. I think I think a lot of people that I experience aren't necessarily happy in life. And
Mhm.
I think I've learned this through driving, funny enough. But whenever I'm driving, I just notice people aren't happy and they're angry and they're always they're waiting for somebody to cut them off so they could lay on the horn or get upset with them or flip them off.
Yeah.
And it's like whenever I'm driving, I just I'm like, people just aren't happy. They're miserable all the time and have this stink face. And I don't get it. And I'm most certainly not the happiest, most positive person. And like, I am not a ray of sunshine at all. But I think that a lot of people struggle with that. So there's certain aspects of my life and my habits that I use to maintain positivity, keep me grounded when things become overwhelming. Exercise is good. Trying to eat well is good. Maintaining a healthy weight for me. And that's not about a number, but just ensuring that I'm where my body has wanted to be over the past 20 years. Um, Sadly, like if you physically look good, a lot of times you feel good, and it's not
Mhm.
just because of the way you look, but it's because you're eating, you're sleeping, you're exercising. Obviously, I've spoken about this a ton, but getting out, working on my dirt bike, riding my dirt bike, learning, reading about that stuff keeps me as honed in and as positive when life becomes really overwhelming. I know that I can always fall back on those things to get me at least moving back in the right direction. What do you use to make sure that you can maintain some level of being grounded while life just seems to be spiraling?
Yeah, I mean, I think the healthy lifestyle is something that, I mean, going back to your comment, people are miserable. And when you eat like shit, or you feel like shit, or you wake up hungover, it's like you perpetuate the issue. And I mean, honestly, for me, I've always had a fine diet, and always would, drink. Drinking aside, like, the diet was like fine. Like, it was food. Sometimes I felt great, sometimes I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until, like, I focused on eating higher quality food and just, like, getting rid of the crap, that when I went back and had, like, a shitty burger from somewhere, I was like, man, wait, this was how I would feel every
Every
time I
day.
ate this.
Yeah.
And it's like, and this is just, I mean, if you don't feel good, like, then that just trickles into everything else.
It could
And
be
that,
the same thing as like alcohol where
well, that's what I was going to say. It's like, same thing with alcohol. Like, I stopped drinking entirely, and then I was like, oh, I'll have a beer every once in a while. That was like my relationship with it. So I'd have a beer, that would be it. And then, like, last weekend, I was like, I'll have two. Like, what's the big deal? Like, I'm out, I'm good. And the next morning, I'm like, ah, fuck. Like, I'm this is exactly why I stopped drinking. I don't want to feel this way. Like, I wasn't hungover, but I certainly didn't wake up being like, I feel great.
yeah. No, I think it's the same thing with food. And maybe that's just me personally. If you look at Americans in general, I would say I'm not alone in feeling this, but you have this connection with food that the things that taste good typically aren't good for you, and you get
Mhm.
this dopamine hit from eating shitty food that tastes good. But then immediately afterwards, I'm like, oh, I feel like crap. Right. Like,
Mhm.
I'm going to have to go run longer tomorrow, or I shouldn't have done that. But leading up to it, you're like, oh, I can't wait to go out to eat, and I'm going to eat so much. And then I'm going to have ice cream afterwards. And then I get done, and I'm just like, I feel like a slob right now. Like, I just don't feel good.
Dude, so I don't know if you know this. Here's a little insider note about who I am, but I get chronic hiccups.
Mm-hmm.
Bad. Like, I don't ever just get normal hiccups. So if I get them, it's usually about 48 hours
Oh my God, that's terrible.
through my sleep. Like, it's horrendous. Like, it's terrible. And they like that. It's not even.
Hiccups suck.
Hiccups are the worst, and I'm sitting here, like, getting nervous that I'm going to give myself them. But I got a sandwich a couple weeks ago, and I ate it, and I bit into it, and I was like, man, this is just not like the type of sandwich I eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just immediately was like, oh, I'm burping. I'm like, this is like not good. And then we went out and the kids wanted ice cream. And I'm like, all right, like I like getting ice cream with the kids, but it's like I could do without. And so I ate the ice cream and then I hiccuped. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, please don't do this. And it was immediate. And
Uh,
I was like, and then I'm like, it's that fucking sandwich I ate. Like I knew I shouldn't have eaten that. And for 48 hours, dude, like
that's
just
terrible.
terrible. And
It's so uncomfortable.
I'm like ChatGPTing, like, give me every crazy thing that can get rid of these, and nothing was working. And they would every once in a while they would go away for like a half hour,
Yeah.
and then they would come back.
It's like a muscle spasm, right?
Yeah, it's a muscle spasm. So like trying everything, someone's gonna comment, but like this is how you get rid of them. I'm telling you, man.
Probably get some muscle relaxers.
That's like that you can go and get like prescribed a muscle relaxer, but like Zantac, Tums, like, you know, it's just I end up driving to the gas station on the way home because I was like, I need this to go away. I feel just, like horrible. This is just like it's constant, and it just wouldn't go away. But it's weird. We were driving like the next day to hockey, I think, and I'm driving and I'm still hiccuping, and all of a sudden I just let out this giant burp, and I'm like, that's it.
That cured it.
And Meg's like, what? I'm like, that. Like I know that's the burp that stops them. And sure enough, they were done.
That's nuts. I don't, knock on wood, I don't get, Tilly gets hiccups a fair amount. But I remember getting when I was younger. Every now and then I get them, but it's like very short lived, and I feel that I can relax enough to control them.
They've only gotten worse as I've gotten older.
That's terrible. They are the worst.
Yeah.
They're so uncomfortable.
Nixon the other day was sitting on the couch. He goes, Dad, what? I got the hiccups. I'm like, okay, buddy.
We talked about this a little bit. I think it's important to touch on how much do you feel that mindset and discipline can control your positivity?
I don't think there is mindset without discipline. I do think it's discipline first. I thought about this question a fair bit, but I think that the mindset is just driven by discipline. It's, you know, it's whatever it is.
Just telling yourself, focus on the right things, do the right things. Yeah. Don't get stuck on this treadmill.
Right. Like if you tell yourself you're going to wake up every morning and go to the gym, like that's what I told myself I'd do. Get up and do it. And it's just like there's most of the time I don't want to go. Most of the time I don't want to be up.
And that's what people don't understand when they see people who are highly motivated, high performers. They think that it's easy, right? That they just have this mind. And there's certain people, it
must
be
easier
nice
than being
others.
A morning person. It's
correct.
Like,
but like, it's not easy for them. They're just making a decision to do it. It's not any easier for them than it sometimes for other people. It's even more difficult, but they have the discipline to be able to maintain that, and to be able to sustain that is, I think, the ultimate differentiator, where you can have the discipline to do it for a short amount of time, but to maintain that over months, over years. Once you get off of that pink cloud, right, where the diet you don't have that physical, chemical, emotional high anymore, to maintain the diet after that is tough. If you decide to stop drinking, once you come down off of the high of feeling better and having people support you and having a network of people standing behind you, once the rose is off the bloom and that high goes away, I think maintaining, sustaining is the most impressive aspect of that.
Yeah, and I think with that, it trickles into everything else. So that's what everyone says. It's like if you can discipline yourself to do the same thing every day and start your day off the same way, where it's in a positive way, that just trickles down into everything else. All your work, and I believe it. I mean, that was the one thing I said I would just do every single morning. I wake up and start my day like that, and the days, there's days I choose not to. And usually I offset that. I go and instead of going to the gym, I go right to the office and I get an extra 3 hours worth of work in, because it's just like good for my mind and good really for the business. But ultimately, it's still the same routine. But the days I do work out and go to the gym, I feel better.
There's days where I'll spend time in the office and it is a very similar feeling to going and working out or getting a solid day of work in where you've been putting it off, you don't want to do it, and you bang out so much that you just feel so accomplished. And I'm like, damn, I'm on top of the world right now. And then the next day shit starts all over again. But that's a difficult feeling to touch where you're just like, yo, I got done so much shit today.
And I think, I mean, I work really well off a list. So
Yeah.
typically I try to put together a to-do list. Yesterday, I felt like I got so much shit done. I came and I went back at my list and I was like, oh, I got one. but at least it was like a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
And we were considering not finishing it yesterday. I was like, no, we're finishing this.
See, dude, that's why I keep a list when I'm closing jobs out. And obviously it's just me and one or two people, so it's much easier. But as I'm going through a job, in my notes folder, every single outstanding thing that I see, as soon as I see it, even if it's like I'm missing a Cortex plug on the second riser, it goes in my phone because like as you're closing the job out and you're looking for things for people to do, it's so satisfying to just do all that. But if I didn't, and I was just at the end of the job stressed about closing it out and I didn't know all the things that I needed to do, those would just be looming in the back of my head where don't forget this, don't forget that. And it just seems insurmountable. But like closing off that literal punch list of just little bullshit, which typically is the worst ever, is so satisfying at the end of a job. And I think that's where most people struggle.
Yeah, I'm picturing you in like the back of your van, finding like an extra Cortex plug, and be like, dude, I can go and knock this off.
Dude, it is. It's like it's like even I just did a deck for my buddy, and it like one of the things is erase the pencil marks on the whole deck from marks and cuttings. It's just little stuff like that where it's like a list of everything that you need to do, and it could be a running list, and just check that off. It is so satisfying to me, but it's something that I feel you put off for so long. So you're like, I don't want to do it, but that the sense of accomplishment that you get from that can be second to none. How do you lean on others, whether it's family, business partners, peers, to maintain perspective and that positive mindset in your life and business?
I don't do this well.
Yeah.
Tyler's like, yeah, I wasn't expecting you to answer that.
I'll check in on you from time to time.
Usually you're asking me how. I think usually it's me physically or it's me like actively going out and seeking a conversation that I might want to have or hear how someone dealt with something.
Do you have certain people that you know you're going to get an answer a certain way that you'll seek out for that answer?
I know how you're going to answer me. So when I want some truth, I usually ask you.
I like for my wife, right? When I'm stressing about something, I know that I can go to Rachel and she'd be like, oh, I wouldn't worry about that at all. So there's times where I want that affirmation, but then there's times that affirmation pisses me off where I'm like, I friggin' knew you were going to say that.
Meg's the complete opposite. Like she'll be, I mean, we chatted about this recently and I was like, I had a very stressful day and I think I had, like, we have decided like it's better that I just run the business and like she trusts me, like, so just do it. But when I bring it to her, like that's not a good dynamic for our relationship because it stresses her out. And usually she reverts back to like, I told you not to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not what I need right now. Like, I need you to tell me that, like, you got this, babe. Like, you're gonna do great. Like, I'm here for you. Not, you shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck. And I was sharing this with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was like, dude, call me. I'm like, I appreciate that. I'm not calling you. I'm like, it's just, I deal with it the way I deal with it, and very few times do I need to actually talk something out. And usually, at least for me, like usually it's not even that I need to talk it out. It's usually I just need to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Like, hey, just hear this for a second.
I just want to internalize all of it and just punish myself for the next 48 to 72 hours.
Yeah, and that's usually when I get hurt at the gym. Like I'm like, fuck it, I'll put another plate on, and like I come home from work, and she's like, did you hurt yourself at the gym this morning?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. She goes, you're an idiot. I'm like,
There,
oh, I know.
there's times in life where I'm getting nearing having the problem licked, and I'm just back and forth where 1 second, oh yeah, I'm good with this. I'm fine with this. It's fine.
Mhm.
And then 15 minutes later, I'm like, nah, I'm ripping all this shit out. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, no, this is good. Like this is it doesn't have to just do with work, but that's part of my process as I'm moving forward, where I'm either rationalizing or justifying or telling myself that I'm okay with it. But I think that it would probably be better to lean on other people more than I do. I mean, I think I'm an introvert at heart, so typically I'm not going to other people. I've tried talk therapy in the past, and it's generally not something that I found useful, because I think that I do better with accepting it holistically if I
Mhm.
internalize it, but it's not an easy or quick or efficient process.
I think my frustration when you think about things like therapy is it's usually like a two-sided thing or three sides, right? Like the therapist and the two people that are dealing with the issue. And ultimately the result of that is each person walks away realizing how to deal with the situation. And for me, I am very good at accepting, at least I think that, hey, I'm doing something wrong and I could take a better approach to this. Or I could think about this differently, or I'm just like solution oriented.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, like, I'm thinking about a marriage, like, oftentimes like one person is solution oriented and the other is not, where it's like the other person just deals with stress and anxiety differently. But ultimately, like, I want the result to be like we both realize that, hey, we should both do this thing. And that's just not the
Do you
case.
think that's accountability, or right where you are just more apt to hold
I
yourself accountable to
maybe,
what's
but
going on?
I'm sure like you flip the other way, she would feel the same way.
I didn't know we were talking about a specific
Oh
person.
no, I was talking about
Hypothetically.
no, I was talking about marriage. Like, just
I know.
I think that's a good reference because like it's so similar to being in business and running a business. Um, but I guess my point there is there's two people that are involved, and I think that we have expectations of one another, but the outcome is not that those expectations are met. Like opposing each other. It's instead like you've internally realized how to deal with the situation. It's like, hey, this is how I'm going to now deal with it. That doesn't necessarily match what the expectation is from the other party.
Part of that, and correct me if I'm wrong, is probably like for you, is just that through life and business, you've had such an experience that's been indicative of the sooner that I accept this, the sooner that I hold
Yeah.
myself accountable to this, the sooner I'm working towards a
Mm-hmm.
solution or getting to the solution. So you've just realized, like, let's skip all the bullshit in between and let's just say, okay, I'm wrong. This isn't right. Let's figure out how to make it right,
Mm-hmm.
which probably is a lot of the reason why you're that way personally as well, where it's like, but like, what's the point in pointing fingers? There's an issue. Either you're not happy with it, I'm not happy with it. If it's a project, you're a team, so everyone's in that same boat. If it's a marriage, you're a team, everyone in that same boat. So let's just be accountable for this and figure out how to move forward,
Mm-hmm.
which I
Yeah.
think I think is important. It I think it should be a balance, right? It shouldn't just always be like, I think that you also have an issue personally, professionally, but just saying this is all my fault. I'm gonna bear the weight of this, and I think that that's probably in order to move ahead as efficiently as possible from a time and an energy perspective. But at times, I do think that there's probably situations where you should dig your heels in and stick up for yourself a little bit more. But I understand why you don't, and that
Yeah.
like that's with not just a single situation, but it could be our relationship, podcast relationship, business relationship. Like I've had conversations with you where I'm like, I would never let a client talk to me like that. And you're like, whatever, what am I going to do? It, but I understand why you do it. I think it comes down to a balance. I think that probably something in between you and in between me is ideal, which is usually the case in personal life and business as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is something that I think I probably could use more insight toward. How do you ensure your own energy is something that motivates and not drains the people around you? Also, without seeming too much like this overly bubbly Mark Williams type of person.
Mark, he's texting us this morning too. I think, at least for me, it's just sharing the vision, where it's vision first for me, where it's like, this is what we're doing, and sharing it in a sense that I'm excited about it. This is why we're doing it. This is why I want you involved. This is why I think you make a difference to this.
That's why it's so important to have people who believe in what you're doing.
Well, I guess like for 45 White Oak, for example, it's a very challenging project to pull off for a number of reasons. But when I'm faced with those challenges, my biggest concern always is my subcontractor relationship. Like, hey, like these are guys that have worked for us for a long time. So it's like, if I have a bank delaying payment, like my gut says like, hey guys, you got to stop so I can like figure out the terms in the background, and then I'll let you know when I get you paid. And I've had more than one conversation on that project where their guys are like, Nick, we're in on this. Like, this is as important to us as it is to you. So we're going to keep working. You just keep us posted. Like, don't worry about it. And that scares the shit out of me. But at the same time, it excites me because it's like, these guys are here because they want to be part of something bigger. They are being awarded the opportunity to do great work. And that's what we set out to do. And so for me, like when I think about my own energy and motivating it, it's communicating like, what, this is what we're going for, guys. Like, this is, we're not, I'm not asking you to compromise. I'm asking for the very best product. Let's do this, and let's do this correctly, and let's do this to the fullest of our ability. And in terms of not draining people, I think for me, it's really just, hey, like if you need something, ask. Like, don't like literally anything. If you're struggling, tell me, because ultimately, like if you're struggling, it will only compound very like quickly, and I'm here to help. But I balance that with, if you're not struggling, I need you to work your ass off.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are here to work, and we are here to work hard and put a tremendous amount of effort in it. And you are awarded the personal life that you want, meaning like, I'm not going to ask you to work absurd hours and go above and beyond expectation. You know, if you want to, great, but that's not the expectation. The expectation is that you come and you work really fucking hard while we're here, but you're going to hit or exceed my expectations in terms of quality.
And I think that that's what's really important about team building. And I look at it from an athletic perspective also, where it seems a lot of times it's so easy to generate a response or to generate motivation in a locker room because everyone's there with the same goal, and they have the passion and they have the pride, and it's synergistic, and you have all of these people who are coming together for their own reason to try and reach their goals. And I think that should be the same type of mindset when you're building your business team, your family, because it's so much easier to drum up that motivation, maintain that positive mindset when you have people who share those common goals. And it's not necessarily about merit. It's not necessarily about experience level as mindset mindset, outlook, and ensuring that the vision aligns. Because if you can have somebody who's extremely talented, extremely experienced, and if they don't fit those other categories, when you are trying to maintain that mindset and the positivity and the motivation within your team, they're going to be a cancer to that team. And it doesn't matter how talented they are, they're going to impact the overall morale. And it's really important to cut that as quickly as possible. But I look at from my own perspective, and at times in life, in business, in family, and career, I don't find it as easy to drum up the motivation and the level of excitement with the people around me as I did when I was participating in organized sports. And I think a lot of that is just that in my personal life and in my business, it's more about what I want than what everyone wants. And when I look back on organized sports, a lot of us had not necessarily the same goals. Like, yeah, maybe we all wanted to win, but it was probably for different reasons, but we were all there for similar reasons. And I think in my life and in my business, I might be here for a different reason than everyone else around me. So it is more difficult to maintain that level of excitement, of engagement. And I look at it, if I were to build a business or a family or a lifestyle that were more in line with what I want and something that works for everyone else, it'd probably be much easier to get everyone behind that movement. And I've never had the team really to back that mindset. That's just nothing I've ever focused on.
I think it's incredibly hard, but you want to have energy that motivates, then do shit that you like to do.
Yeah.
It's very like it's that simple.
But like the problem is that a lot of times what you like to do isn't the easiest thing, so it's really hard to find the same type of people who want that.
Tyler, it's been a decade.
Yeah.
Like for me, like it's, I've had great people on my team and have lost great people, but it's because ultimately I was going after things that I thought we wanted instead of just focusing on what I want.
I also think that no matter how much stake you try and give somebody in that, a lot of times there's not the metric by which they can get the reward that they're looking for. When you look at it from an athletic perspective or like a sports team, yeah, you could have a different mindset, mentality, and goal than me, but I'm given the opportunity to reach whatever metric of success that I'm looking for personally. When you have a business, when somebody gets frustrated at the end of the day, like they're gonna pass the buck as far as they can and look at Nick and say, well, you know what, Nick wants something else. I'm not getting that here, so I'm going to back off, or I'm going to go look for a different job. Where like when you look at it from a sports team perspective, it's like if you're not reaching your goals, you need to change something. You can't just, I can't blame this person, I can't blame that person. Like you look, I think that you can internalize that more and you can hold yourself more accountable.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, like if someone is being attracted to your team, and then you try to change what you're doing to like meet what they want and desire, like they were already attracted to you. They were attracted to what you were doing. Why are you now changing it? And it's like, and now not only are you changing something, maybe like they've provided their opinion on it, but it's like you're changing it, which is now not what they were attracted to originally, and it's not what you want to be doing.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's very difficult because like there's so many, like you said, to do what you want to do is probably far more difficult than it quote unquote needs to be. But like if that's truly what excites you, then that needs to be the focus, and finding a way to, how does this become what I make money at, become profitable at, make this my career? Because, I mean, I'm someone that continues to struggle with that, where it's like, we were just looking at a couple small jobs and Julian was like, why are we looking at these? I'm like, oh, we'll knock them out. Like, it will be great for revenue. And like, it's good. We're going to hit our revenue targets. Like, they're profitable. And he pushes back. He's like, well, we don't have the team for that. Like, we're focused on this bigger stuff over here. And ultimately he's right. And and actually one of those jobs ended up not moving forward because we were just too expensive for that small job. But it's like I'm looking at it as like from the wrong perspective. It's like that's not a job I want to do. I'm just looking at it like, oh, that is, we can do that and we can be profitable and we can add the revenue and profitability. Like, sure, all that's great. Focus on the shit that you like to do.
Sorry, I was just writing a note down that I didn't want to forget about the conversation that we were having.
You have another plug that you got to get on the deck?
No, as far as a conversation, where we were wrapping up the conversation and how listeners can start putting this into practice today. And it really has something to do with what you just said. And I didn't want to forget it. And I think it should be about maintaining motivation and positivity in your own life, within your family, your personal life, and your business, and wondering how to do that. And I didn't know if I had an answer for that, and I still probably don't have a fully comprehensive answer. But I think that in personal life and business, in your marriage, with your family, with everyone else, like, how do you maintain positivity? How do you maintain motivation? And I think it's a lot of what you just said, where you have to create goals that people can buy into, but then you also have to be able to give them the agency and the autonomy to be able to reach their level of success or fulfillment by however means they measure that, whatever metric they would deem success for themselves. Like, you have to build the family, you have to build the marriage, you have to build the business by the what you need as an owner, but then you also have to provide these people with buy-in, and then also the opportunity, the agency to make a successful marriage on their own. Like, what my wife basically deems a successful marriage, there's certain buy-in that we have together, but she also has enough agency to maintain a marriage and a relationship with me that makes her happy, that's outside of what I want or outside of what we want mutually. And I think that it's the same thing from a team perspective, right? If you're creating NS Builders, like, you have to have this vision and this buy-in from your team, but you also have to give them enough agency that they can feel successful in their own right, and they can continue to chase that success and that fulfillment by whatever metric they measure success, while still buying into your business. And I think, to me, like, having this conversation with you and just listening to what you just said about struggling with that for your business so long, that seems that would be the secret to maintaining positivity and motivation and creating a successful relationship or business in your life.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Harder said than done.
Very true.
I think that's something that I probably haven't done, and finding that balance where, as humans, we're typically putting ourselves first and our needs first, but then there's a lot of other people involved in those decisions, in those relationships, and ensuring that they're able to achieve whatever success or fulfillment they need to maintain that relationship, I think, is really important. And it's a difficult balance, and I think that it's a dance, and I'm not sure it's something that we can perfect, but at least if you're cognizant of that, if you're focusing on that and paying attention and mind to that you're probably positioning yourself to be successful.
What do you think is something that someone could put into practice today?
I think, honestly, like, having conversations like this, and I know we just said that that's not something that we're typically having, but it can even just be sitting down at your computer. And that's something I've done with my midweek, where there's a lot of internal analysis as to who I am, how I approach my life, how I digest my life, and taking an hour, 2 hours a week to just journal what's going on in your life, personally, professionally, who you are, where you are, why you're making the decisions that you are. To me, I think that can provide you with a ton of insight as to what makes you tick, what makes you happy, what stresses you out, what really motivates you as a person. So that would probably be my suggestion. And I know that that might sound a little bit hokey, right? Take an hour and sit down and write in a journal once a week. But I've found immense value in my midweek because that's essentially what I'm doing every week. And it's not just a business conversation. Sometimes it's mindset, sometimes it's mental health, it's physical health, but just taking time to sit with your own thoughts and figure out who the fuck you are. Like, what's going on in your life? Who are you? Take an hour where you're not being affected or persuaded by outside influences and figure out what makes you tick. And I think it's going to steer you, propel you in the right direction in life. And at least you start understanding who you are instead of just going through life with blinders on or just checking off that to-do list.
Like I said, I'm not someone that's good at talking my shit out, but in the times that I have, and big or small issue, or maybe it's not even an issue, maybe it's just an idea I have. I always walk away from that feeling as though I've progressed, and not that I want to discredit human interaction by any means, but it's also something I use AI for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like there's times where it might be late at night, it might be early in the morning, it might just be midday, and I just sit down and I just sit there for half hour, 45 minutes, and just dump some thoughts out. And like, help me make sense of this. And like, hey, I just want to dump my thoughts out. And like, where's my mind? What am I really trying to do here? And I'll prompt it and say, ask me questions so I can really understand, like, what's my goal? And am I actually moving towards my goal? Because right now I feel as though my goal is so far away and I'm doing all this stuff that I think should help, but it doesn't seem to be actually helping. And I think a lot of people, I think that's one of the biggest use cases, is like these therapy type sessions with like something like ChatGPT, where like they're just talking and voicing something out and working through it. And at least for me, like that's something that I've continued to really leverage to understand where, what am I trying to accomplish here, and am I making the right decisions? And I try not to get too wrapped up in it, because like it can be very kind of just like straight arrow, like, hey, do this and you get that. It's like, well, sure, but
does Meg get jealous of your relationship with chat? Did I send you something online about that?
You did. She doesn't know about that relationship. No.
It's. I think that life right now, and that you have to strike a balance between too much and too little, but it's so chaotic that I don't think that. I mean, I tell my kids all the time, like, feel your feels, right? Don't just. We talked about toxic positivity where you're just ignoring everything or out of sight, out of mind. You have to feel some of these things. You have to analyze some of these things. And life can become so chaotic and fast paced that you're never taking the time to really analyze or measure, quantify what's going on. Like, inventory your personal feelings, inventory your business, and figure out what's going on, and just take an hour out of the week to do that. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to be in such a better place. And whether you're using AI for it, whether it's journaling, whether you have a therapist, whether you're sitting down and going, on 15-minute walks with your wife after dinner, I think that it's really important just to understand, to be able to feel the feelings that you're going through and address some of them rather than put them off and not really dealing with it, not really coping with it, because I don't think you're going to progress at all if everything's just out of sight, out of mind.
I'd agree with that.
Sweet. Well, hopefully this guy's gave you all a little bit of perspective onto some of the struggles I have with maintaining positivity, what Nick struggles with as far as internalizing a lot of what he is going through, and just what we go through on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis on how we address life. It is not easy. You're not happy all the time, but I think that at least keeping your finger on the pulse of your own positivity, your own well-being, your happiness, the way that you can manage life, business, anxiety, and everything else, I think would put you guys in a much better place moving forward, rather than just going through the motions and working 12 hours a day and not ever maintaining any sort of moral inventory or business inventory.
Take a minute, hop on our Instagram, leave us some comments on our latest posts. Let us know how you cope with balancing positivity with just the reality of what we deal with on a day to day. I think it's a good conversation to have, and would be super interested in hearing everyone's insight. Make sure you head over to moderncraftsman.co, sign up for our newsletter. We shoot out a newsletter for every episode each week, but also share some behind the scenes of what we're dealing with. And most recently, I've been sharing a lot of the tools that we use, not only to run our business, but I've been sharing some of the tools I use and how I'm leveraging AI in business. Some of the worksheets that we use to create standard operating procedures in my business. But a lot of great information that we're sharing, stuff that's more actionable to the everyday use case in your life and in your business. So moderncraftsman.co, sign up for the newsletter.
And if you have questions, or you want us to address something in a podcast, in the newsletter, you want some insight, email us with that question, and we can pop that out in one of our future podcasts or weekly newsletter. So let us know. hello@moderncraftsman.co. Catch you guys next week.